Okay, today I want to show you guys how to solder some copper pipe. There's a lot of small prep work, small details you need to do whenever you're going to solder a joint on. I'm going to solder on this threaded T right here, but the principles remain the same no matter what you're trying to solder together, be it a coupler for two pipes or what have you. The principles are all the same. This is 3/4 inch copper tubing, copper pipe, and to a 3/4 inch threaded adapter. Now, first off, let's talk about prep on your pipe. You can see how the copper on this piece of pipe is very dull. It's brownish. Doesn't have that bright copper luster like it's been polished. So we want to bring it out. There's several ways you can do that. If you're going to be doing a lot of it, I highly suggest picking up something like this guy right here. Oops, sorry, that's upside down. All it is now this is for 1/2 inch pipe. This is of course 3/4. If you stick it over the end, you twist it around a couple times, and it'll clean your pipe for you. I don't do much 3/4 pipe. Actually, I don't do hardly any copper pipe anymore. Very few people do because it's so expensive. But I wanted this to be kind of durable, so I'm going to stick with it. But we're just going to use a regular ordinary piece of sandpaper, and oop, my vise isn't locked down. There we go. And I like to sand in kind of a circular motion around the edge. I'm cleaning up more than I need to, but hey. Alright. And there you have it. You see how it's kind of brought back some of the luster? Let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit. There, you can see the difference a little better. Probably actually a lot better if I turn this light out. There. Now you can really see the difference between the sanded copper and the old copper. See, you won't get that high luster, and don't worry about the scratches. The solder will fill that up kind of nice. And then for this end, this piece here is actually pretty bright. It's pretty well finished copper, but we do want to make doubly sure, double check it anyway. So even though this is a brush for a 1/2 inch, it should still work pretty much the same, but we're just gonna scour up, kind of clean up the inside there a little bit. Make sure it's all good to go. You can't really tell a difference, but there's a difference. Now let's talk about the other thing that most people forget. Usually, a lot of people from here will attempt to put this on here, go ahead, heat it up, and run some solder, and that's not exactly what you want to do. What you want to do is you're going to want to get yourself some flux, water-soluble paste flux, and use this like you're not really paying for it, because it can go, well, it can go a long way. You're not really, like, you can't really have too much in my experience. Okay, and then we'll take and put some on the inside here too. Alright, just like that. Okay, now the other thing that I want you guys to think about or be aware of is there's two types of solder out there. There's electrical solder, and then there's lead-free solder for water lines. When you're soldering water lines, you want the plumber's solder, and make sure it's a lead-free. A lot of electrical solder has some lead in it or lead-like chemicals, and let's face it, you don't really need that in. But I usually take just some off the roll like that. Then as I heat it, we'll touch it over, and you actually see it'll be kind of neat. The solder will actually like flow into the joint. It's really neat to watch. The other thing I want to talk about is called thermal dynamics. And what does that mean? Well, where does hot heat go? Heat always goes up. So as I'm heating my pipe, I'm not going to do it from here. Okay? I'm going to do it from the bottom because it'll heat up. Is everybody understanding that? You want to run your flame down around the bottom as much as possible, and it'll carry the most heat up. I am using just a regular propane torch. I do have the, I'm not sponsored by them at all, but the Mega Torch. Mega Torch tip. It's a self-striking arc, so I kind of prefer it to this here style where you gotta actually like light a match and try to light it. It's just a pain in the ass. It's a little harder to keep lit and going, but without further ado, I'm doing this in real time. I'm gonna turn on some gas. Get a little gas flowing, and then trigger. Oop, dang it. Turn the knob the wrong way. Alright, now we'll start the heat. You don't need to put your flame right here, per se, as high as you can, but, you know, it helps to get a lot of heat into the joint. You can see the solder's all, or excuse me, the flux is all bubbling and hot, which is kind of nice. And we'll heat this up for a minute or two, and then you'll see me put the solder on. And when I put the solder on, I'll actually kind of pull the torch away, and you'll see the solder actually flow into the joint. It's really neat to watch. Checking right now to make sure I got solder the whole way around. This pipe's actually going into a place that's really hard to reach. This end of it anyway. I'm going to touch up this here other side, and then we just about have it. Alright. I'm going to say that's pretty good. I got a little globby right there, but I don't do this very often. But as long as I don't see anything, I don't think there is anything. Like I said, it's just a water line, there ain't 1,000 psi of pressure or anything on it, but I'll call that good. And that's how we do that.